today, this video is going to be about Gogeta and how I think they should make Gogeta top tier. And credits to Enigma for giving me the idea. Without him and without him making the video that he originally made, I would not be doing what I currently am. So big thanks to him for giving me the idea. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I will cover what I'm going to talk about first, but we will get right into it after that. I'm going to talk about his buttons, the pushback on his buttons, the scaling on all of his buttons, or not all of his buttons, but a few of the buttons I want changed, and the addition of a few buttons. Not in that order, but we will be talking about each of those subjects, and I will probably timestamp them below, either in the comments or in the pins, maybe both, or comments or description, maybe both, but I will have Enigma's video linked in the description, and I will have two other videos linked in the description as well. I'll mention them at the end of the video. But immediately into his buttons, his 5L is the only safe button he has. Everything else is punishable on block and very easily on whiff. Even his 5S, it is a frame trap though. His 5S does have its uses in block strings, but it's not the best. But I think they should make his 2L, for one. I think they should change his 2L. I think they need to shorten the distance. And you did see that was -5. And that it's just the way the game does things with active moves and how things hit meaty. It's a little awkward, but in block strings, in a regular block string, 2L is always unsafe. You can continue after to make it safe, but the only other safe thing you have is your Rekkas. They're the EX is -4, the other two are -5, without some funky shenanigans, but I will go over that later. I will talk about why I think Gogeta is good. This is simply just how to make Gogeta top tier, and what I think they should do to make him better. So I think they need to change 2L. In my opinion, 2L is probably his biggest problem. It's the thing everybody asked for. But his 2L is -8 and 11 frame startup. So it's very reactable. It's very easy to OS block, which there are guides for on the internet if you not know what OS blocking is. But in short, you are basically blocking both high and low at the same time. It's a little awkward, but once you understand it, it does make sense. But I think they need to basically remove his 2L, his current 2L, and give it less than half of the distance, because it'll hit from here. It's a very long button. It might hit a little bit from a little bit further from there. But it's a very long button. It catches backdash after somebody backdashes from something in their string. You can follow them with this, and it is barely fast enough to catch them most of the time. Sometimes they will block it, but then you can just start your string and you get a little reward, but it's not a lot. But I think they need to change his 2L and put it on his 3L. I think his current 2L should become a 3L, which there are not. I don't know if there are any, but there are other buttons like that. It's basically a command button, kind of like Adult Gohan's 3H, which I will bring up a little later in the video, just in word, not in visual, but that is stated in Enigma's video, so if you want a little more on that, I highly recommend you watch him in that video, which will be linked below. I believe I have already said that, but I want to state again, this was originally his idea, and I'm not taking it from him. I just want to give my input on it as well. But his 5LL is the other button I really want to talk about. His 5LL should be at least -6 and have slightly more pushback, like maybe this much more. Because from here, he shouldn't be able to press a button on me. And if I do this and step back twice, yeah, this whiffs. So that means most buttons whiff. And if it's -6, that means he's able to block from any button, from any mash, and from all of the larger buttons. Because there are big buttons in the game. There are 7 frame jabs, and he will be able to block those like normal. They just won't be able to punish him like that. If they want to make him broken, I wouldn't be mad about that. And if they do, give it the same amount of pushback that I stated earlier, like around here, and make the button like -3. It'll be one of the best buttons in the game by far. His 5L, I think they could change that to be -3, but I don't think -5 is bad. It's just a little wonky. His 5M should not be -8. I think it should be safe. I think it should be at least -5. It's really not a big deal to me, but it could be safer because it is very easy to just guard cancel in the middle of any of his strings after 5L, and he just gets punished because all of his moves are unsafe, except for 5L. But he can DP you from guard cancel, so that I guess that is something that he can do, but it's not often that they will, that any Gogeta will, but it is an option that you should look out for. His 5H is the other big button I want to talk about. It is a very large button. It's very long. But Blue Goku is here for a reason, and I want to talk about his 4M for a second. It's -2. That is the god number. That's the best number you can have on a button, or really anything other than plus. But -2 and lower basically means that you get to do whatever you want after you've used it. You can almost clash with them, and if they delay just a little bit, you do clash with them. If you used a fast button, you might even beat them if they used a slow one. I think Blue Goku's 4M should be similarly applied to Gogeta's 5H. Give Gogeta a 4H, which has less distance than the current non-teleporting version, but if you land a 5H and block and then back up twice, he doesn't teleport. If you land it and then back up 3 times, he does. It's a fairly long move, but I do think it needs more distance. I think it should hit from about here, and it doesn't, because it's very awkward for Vanish, or not, it's very awkward to reflect somebody and then not be able to punish them with 5H. You kind of just deliver yourself in front of them, like a care package, and you just get punished because it's got so much whiff recovery. It's got 46 framed, which is a lot. And the whiff recovery on all those moves is pretty bad. I think this should be 30. I think this should be like 55. Or I think that is 55. I think it should be about 45. And his 2M for the distance, I think, is fine. But I don't think that it should be as minus as it is. I think it's a little ridiculous that it's -13. I think it should be like -10. It won't affect a lot, but it will make it easier if somebody's slow on punishing. But I think his 5H doesn't need any change. I think it's fine other than distance. It's just a little awkward. It's not long enough. It could be just because I played Hit for so long and his buttons are so long. Specifically, his H covers around 75% of the screen. That it just feels awkward. It might not be as bad as I'm thinking, but it does feel awkward to me. And I think that would be a good change. I think it would just be better to make the button longer. And this is, again, to make him top tier, not just to make him a stronger character. So 4H should be at least -5. If they want to make it less minus, like Blue Goku 4M, and make it -2 or less / more, I guess it's technically less minus but more plus. But I think that would be very good. They don't have to do that, but I do think a 4H would be a very interesting tool because nobody has a safe H button, I believe. I think once you've used an H button, you basically have to commit to ending the stream. But I think Gogeta is already a gimmicky character. He's already kind of interesting. I think they should give him a 4H, and I think it should be at the very minimum -5. And anything after that is basically just extra goodie. To recap, 2L should be shorter and faster, and 3L should exist and work exactly like his current 2L. He should have a 4H, and his 5H should have slightly more distance. His 5LL should be at least -6 and have slightly more pushback, and his 5L should be at least -3. And now I'm going to talk about... I'll talk about his special moves, which are his quarter circles and every move. So this move is -5. which is really lame. But it does get you in from neutral, so it is fairly strong anyway. But I think they should make this move around -3. Oh yeah, and a button that I actually forgot to mention at all. So J2H is punishable after this. You can just 2H that. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you. And it's really bad that you can. You just lose. Like there's no way to get it unpunishable because it's just straight up punishable. So I think because it is punishable, they should make it to where the move is better. You get better reward because on hit, you literally get to be minus. On hit, you're -2. Theoretically -1. Like, what? Why is a move on hit minus? No move on hit is minus. Otherwise, Gogeta is the only person in the game that is minus on his attacks. I don't believe, like, anything that doesn't take somebody off the ground, like, even this is plus for Blue Goku. So I think that's another thing. That wasn't even something that kind of crossed my mind. But Gogeta isn't even plus on hit, which is ridiculous. So I think he should at least be 0 on hit for everything. And his JH specifically should... I think if they want to keep it 2Hable, it's fine. But I think on hit, it shouldn't be -3. I think it should be around 0 or +2. I think that would be fine. Because then he can keep pressure if you got hit. It'd basically just be a 6M that he can use from the air. If they make it 0 or more. Which would be convenient. That would be very good for Gogeta. He can still block after it if they block it, but if they know the matchup, you're going to get 2H out of this immediately. Which is really lame. But anyway, onto his actual special moves now. So his 236 S series is, because he does have slightly different ones, are not bad. But I think they could be better. I think it's too... I think there's too much whiff recovery on the... I think it's fine, like pretty fine on this. Like you should get punished heavily for whiffing your 236S. But I think for faking it out, you shouldn't get punished like you do. I think it's really lame. But I think it should be at least -40 rather than -45. So that means it would be easier to cheese people with. And something that that Enigma brought up that I don't even know about. You can actually float after... You can float and act after you do this version. It's kind of weird, but it allows for some neat mix-ups. But you can't do it in a string, which is really lame. And I think if you could do that in a string, then coupled with being less minus, I think you should be able to just punish... I think you should be able to get more mix out of it. It's just really not reasonable to ever use it, honestly. It's really lame. But the other big change that I want... I think all of his records should be at least -4. Because currently only EXs. And that's if you start with it. You can't do 236L and then end. You can't do 236M and end. You have to start with EX. But I think this should be -5. I think this should be -4. I think the first hit of his Rekka should be -5. I think it would be very good for staggers. It's still currently pretty okay for staggers, but it is punishable, and if somebody knows that, you will get hit. But the other big thing that I want is his 236M. His 236M is pretty good. It beats mashes just 100% of the time. The only time it doesn't beat them is reversals. And who's throwing out reversals? During a block string, you can do it during any of them, and each of them are frame traps. It's very good. It's very strong. But I think you should be able to fake out his 236M and make it just stop early, like right there on the rear back. I think he should right there. He should be able to stop instead of continuing forward to hit. which is good. I think it's good that he does. I think he should be able to stop. So I think it would one, be very good for mix-ups. So if you catch somebody mashing instead of getting a bad starter, you can rear back and get a 5H, and boom, you're in. You've punched the shit out of somebody. I think it should be a lot like hits 214S. I think that would be really interesting. But onto his scaling, because that's really all I want for his specials. His DPs are all really good, except for his well, actually his EX move, this one right here, isn't amazing because he uses both smashes. But that's an Enigma's video. He talked about that. He brought that light to me, and he can bring that light to you. But his EX DP is alright. It's an EX DP. It's pretty good. It does use one smash immediately, but so do all of them. You can get most follow-ups, I believe. I guess you can't get that, but in the air it's really good. So it's side switches, and you can get an H like normal. You can also super dash if you want to. It's very good. I think its EX DP is fine. But I think this one, it does give a lot of corner carry, right? Like, I mean, I went from here to mid-screen, or to corner almost. And I think that's good. And the damage is pretty good, too. It's very good for combos. Sometimes, very, very rarely, but sometimes it is good for combos. The biggest thing about it that I don't like it for is its scaling. Its scaling is really bad. The starter is fine. It's a DP. I think it should be 70. I think that's okay. But it's 5 hits of scaling for so little damage for most moves that scale that high. Sure, it gives you reward and corner carry, but I think it wouldn't be bad if they changed it to where it gave you less corner carry and honestly a little less height to give you corner like that. I think the less scaling on that and less damage on that and less damage on him and less scaling on it would make Gogeta significantly more balanced. In the sense of his scaling, because his scaling is pretty horrible. But the other move that the big move that I want changed for scaling is his his JM. His JM is 5 hits of scaling and only 3 hits for the combo. I think it should be 3 hits of scaling, and do 300 per hit because it does 400 per hit, which adds up to 1,000 because each hit scales down successfully. So I think it should be 300 each, maxing out at 1,000 unscaled on the first hit, and the subsequent hits being less and less to make up for 700 damage in total, like a regular JM. I think it should keep the 3 hits for block strings. They could maybe make it 2 to make it a little more fair, but he could still get L anyway, so it wouldn't change a lot. I guess they can make it to where L doesn't hit overhead though. But I don't want that. I want most of it to stay fine. The other one thing that I really want changed is his 5S and his JS. I think they should have slightly less damage for 1 hit of scaling. Like 750 at the maximum for damage. If they want to keep it a little balanced. If they want to make him broken, keep the 900 and make it 1 hit. That would be fucking nuts. That would be so good. Actually, one of the strongest in the game, if it were that. Because that means it's a 1-hit scaling 80% starter beam that does 900 damage and is a button, which means you can that means you can jump cancel out of it or special cancel out of it in Spark. You can jump cancel out of Spark, or with Spark, and special cancel outside, which is nuts. So that would be crazy. But other than that, I think Gogeta's fine. There's not a lot of issues, but there are some very glaring ones, such as his lack of mix because of his slow 2L and his 236S being funky. But other than that, I think it's fine. They could change his grab to be a little faster, but Enigma talked about that in his video. Will be linked below. I have brought him up a few times, but he is why I made this video. So big shout outs to him. And thank you guys for watching. And oh yeah, I did mention another video, or another 2 videos. I think it might be 3 actually. But Doka on YouTube, I believe he does have a Twitter. I don't know if he streams, but he made scaling videos, and that is why I know so much about scaling. So without him, I wouldn't have been able to make the video the way I wanted to. And because of him, I got to be able to. So big shout outs to him. I'm going to have those videos linked in the description. And if you guys want me to, I can make my own. But I would prefer you guys just support him instead. It's whatever you guys want. But thank you for watching the video and listening to why I think Gogeta, or how I think Gogeta should be buffed. And yeah, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, and subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm on these pretty often. But yeah, thank you guys, and see you later.